Today we're going to work with multiplying fractions. So we've already covered most of what we need on the calculator. I just want to talk a little bit about multiplying fractions because sometimes it's very tedious to put fractions into a calculator. So if you can just do it without a calculator, that can be very helpful. Let's look at this example, 1/2 times 2/3. One of the things I discovered, I didn't know this myself, but through my education in adult ed, I've learned that multiplication can, let me see, it looks like that's going to spell multiplication. So multiplication can be modeled using a square and finding its area. A lot of times this is referred to as the area model. So some people are more visual. This is a good way to multiply fractions that if you're more visual, if you like more of a geometry mind. To do 1/2, we have this side here. Notice that we have to have a half, you have to cut it into 2 pieces. So I make 1 slice and now I have 2 equal pieces. So that's going to be a half here and a half here, and of course that make a whole. And then if I go across this way, I can cut it into thirds. So 1/3, 2/3, and 3/3 would be out here as a whole. So 1/3, 1/3, and 1/3, and that would be my whole. So 1/2 means to cut into 2 pieces, but I'm only going to take one of those. So I'm going to draw the line across here, and I'm going to lightly shade, but I'm going to just take one of those pieces. 2/3 means to come across this way and cut it into 3 slices this way. And now I end up with taking 2/3. So what I end up taking is, probably use a different color for this, maybe you'll see it a little better. So 2/3, what that kind of means is I'm going to take across this way. But you can only shade where you already shaded with the 1/2. So it's got to be overlapping. So that's what we end up with. So now if you look inside here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces, and we've shaded 2 of 6. So the area of that square would be 2 6 square units. So the area here would be 2 6. Now, again, one thing about fractions is they sometimes may be simplified. We notice again that the 2 6 has divisibility here. I'm allowed to divide the top by 2, divide the bottom by 2, and keep it equivalent. So instead of saying 2 6, we may also see that as 1/3. So I can model multiplying fractions in that sense. We also have a nice little shortcut. To multiply fractions, all you really got to do is multiply straight across. So it's actually fairly straightforward. So if I want to multiply 1/2 times 2/3, I go 1 times 2 is 2, and 2 times 3 is 6, and I get my 2 6 there, and then it will reduce on down to 1/3. Now, what you could also do if you wanted to is you could do the multiplication 1 times 2, get 2, 2 times 3, and get 6. You can get that 2 6. If you're unsure how to reduce, you can use your calculator to reduce fractions. So if you clear your calculator off, hit the Get Over D button, all you really got to do is put the 2 6 in. So I hit the 2 for the numerator, down arrow, hit the 6, hit enter, and it reduces it down to 1/3 for me. So the fraction can be reduced using a calculator. So keep that in mind. You can do part of the math in your head and part of the math with a calculator. That's how a lot of folks do their math. They kind of use a little bit of everything to get their answer. Let's see what else we have here. So we have 3/4 times 8/9. Again, multiplying fractions, I can use the area model. So 3/4 means to cut my side into 4 equal pieces. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. So these would be called fourths. So 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, And then I'll make my little slices across here. And notice that we get 3 of those 4. So what I'm going to do is shade 1/4, 2/4, and 3/4. So 3 of 4 would be shaded there. Going across the other direction, we have this 8/9. So this has got to be cut in 9 pieces. So 1/9, 1/9, 1/9, 1/9, 1/9, 1/9, 1/9, 1/9, and 1/9. So I should have 9 ninths there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 ninths. But what we're doing is taking 8 of those. So we cut it. We have to slice it up into 9 pieces. It takes a little time. That's why people don't like some of these models here. Very hard to draw sometimes. So you can kind of see it's not perfect, but let's see. Now we have to shade 8 of those 9s. So that means I got to go across this way all the way out to here. So we only want to shade where we've already shaded. Okay? Yeah, that was shaded there too. So we end up with all that. So what we got to figure out is, what's shaded. Well, notice that there was 9 here, 9 here, 9 here, 9 here. So that was 36 for that. And then, how many did we shade? Well, we shaded 8, 8, and 8. We shaded 3 8s, that would be 24. So we'd have 24 over 36. Now notice that gets so hard to reduce. I can figure out, well, 2 goes into both of those, so a lot of times I'll do like half. So I'll be like 2 12s is 24. 36 is a little trickier. I believe that's 18. 2 18s, yeah, 2 18s is 36. I could then take half again, half of 12, or divide each by 2. That would be 6 over 9. And then 2 doesn't work, but I do see a 3. 3 goes into 6 twice. 3 goes into 9 3 times. So the answer would be 2/3. So that would be a method, but notice how that all of a sudden really bogs down. That no longer becomes a very good strategy. Small numbers, not that big of an issue. You can draw pretty easily. Bigger fractions, a lot more complicated to draw and read. So that's where the shortcut can help out. So we have 3 times 8 is 24. 4 times 9 is 36. Again, if you want, you can let the calculator reduce that for you. So I hit the N over D button, hit 24, down arrow, 36, hit enter. That gives me 2/3. Now, what we're also allowed to do is we can reduce before we actually multiply. So diagonally, if you see a common divisor, we actually can do that at the very beginning. Notice that this is kind of the best method here, is I actually can kind of go diagonally and look for divisors. Notice that I can divide 3 and 9 both by 3, so 3 goes to 3 one time, 3 goes into 9 3 times, and 4 goes this way. 4 goes into 4 one time, 4 goes into 8 twice, and then you can multiply straight across. 1 times 2 is 2, 1 times 3 is 3, and that's another way to do it. So the tricky thing about multiplying fractions is there's still that division concept in there, and we don't do a whole lot of division, so it makes it a little bit trickier. So that's why we lean on the calculator. All right, thank you.